a lot of these soft topics, team building, crucial conversations, I think a lot of people, especially engineers, technologists, think of it as just fluffy stuff that doesn't matter. I think that we need to change that mindset. Teams that work better together produce better results. Talking about teamwork isn't about trust falls. It's real work and it's real benefit that can not only sharpen the performance of your team, but can also sharpen your technical skills.
Welcome to the Forward Slash, where we lean into the future of IT. I'm your host, Aaron Chesney, with my beautiful co-host, James Carmen. So, James, today we're going to be talking about being an effective consultant. And, I was thinking about this, and I was trying to think of, effective teams and that kind of thing. I'm like, bees are very effective. And I'm like, why is that? And I'm like, oh, you know what? It's because they're always on their good behavior. So, or best behavior.
Is it
behavior?
Yes. Okay, yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down there. Okay.
So
I'll give you a silver star for that one.
Yeah, who's I? So today we have with us Aaron Tyler, who is one of our consultants at Callibrity. He is a graduate of Purdue University, so don't hold that against him. He may have his head up in space. He's been a full-stack developer for 25 years, an iOS developer for 15 of those, and a consultant for the last 14 years. He also went back to Purdue because he didn't get enough the first time to be an adjunct professor, and he's also been a coding boot camp instructor as well. So welcome, Aaron. You have the best name in the whole wide world. And we always come first alphabetically.
Two of the best names.
Which is great sometimes, but I don't always want to be first.
Yeah, my grandfather used to tell me never trust a man with two first names. So, but we're gonna look over that today. We're gonna trust you.
We'll look past that for you.
Yeah, we'll look past that. It's more of a suggestion than a rule.
If it matters, Tyler wasn't a very common first name when my name was given to me.
What's the origin of Tyler as a surname?
I believe it's a person who tiles.
I was going to say probably the guy who puts stuff in your kitchen, right? Yeah. Or bathroom.
Yeah.
Creates tiles, lays tiles, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably a person that deals with tiles.
Very cool.
Probably of English origin as well.
Mine was someone who pushes a cart man. Yep. Actually, it's kind of cart, which is funny because of South Park. But all right, so you're like the only person I've ever met I've never been exposed to this world in my life. But tell us a little bit about what you and your family are into. I thought this is just fascinating.
So I have 7 kids, and all 7 of them are competitive Irish dancers. My oldest is 21. My youngest is almost 7. And we travel around the country competing in Irish dance.
Do they dance together as like a whole group, or is it an individual thing? How's that work?
So most of Irish dance, there's different kinds of competitions. There are they're called Cayley dances or group dances that have 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 people in them. So there are group dances that do that, but the most of the dancing competitions are solo dances, so it's only one person. They compete in 3 different dances, 2, and then they get to do a third one if they pass the recall. If they get in the top 50% for the first 2, then they get to do a third dance, and then scores are assigned.
Is that like an all weekend thing?
So local competitions, they're called it's called a fesh, It's an Irish word. But a local fesh that's like a little small one, usually a competition is just one day. We'll be going to the national competition in Washington, D.C. this year, and that is a week long.
Wow.
Whoa.
The regional competitions, which is like a multi-state regional competition. So we're in the southern region, so that extends everywhere from Texas all the way up to about Washington, D.C. It also includes Mexico. So the southern region, that competition is, I think, 4 days, 3 or 4 days, usually over a weekend.
Gotcha.
And the world competition is coming up in April. Two of my kids will be competing there, and that's about a week long, 10 days maybe.
And that's in Ireland.
And that one's in Ireland this year.
Okay.
A couple of years ago, it was in Montreal. So last year, I think it was in Scotland. So it's in different places, but this year it's in I think Dublin.
Aaron, tell us a little bit about what it means to be an effective consultant and why that's important for our listeners.
Well, effective consulting really focuses on how can you deliver the best value to your clients, right? There's a different skill set to consulting than there is to being an FTE or a full-time employee at a client. Um, and a lot of that comes down to making sure that you're good at communicating, that you're, I mean, we like to think of ourselves not as contractors, but as consultants, because we're there not just to fill a seat, not just to do the work that is assigned, but to also consult and grow not only the skills of the team, but the grow the business itself,
Yeah,
right?
you're not just staff augmentation at that point, right? You're not just
Exactly.
another person in a seat banging keys away. You're there actually to try and help mold them into a better version of themselves.
Right. Whenever I'm at a client, my goal is not to, or my focus is not on specifically doing the work that I'm assigned and no more. It's about doing what's best for the client, regardless of what that is. You know, right now, like I'm a tech lead on my current team, but I'm doing a five dysfunctions team assessment for a completely different team that I've never worked with before, because that's what the client needed and could use help with. Um, so really effective consulting is managing that relationship with the client, as well as uh, being uh, as well as contributing to your agency. So in this case, contributing to Callibrity, contributing to whatever company you actually work for, helping grow that team in addition to also growing your client and growing the team at your client.
So when you're working as a consultant in a team, like what are some of the things that you do to try and get yourself, obviously if you're going into an established team, there are things that you've got to establish, some different things like rapport and some trust. What are some tricks that you can do to gel into a team and have them kind of take what you say as gospel?
Well, I don't necessarily want them to take what I say as gospel, uh, but uh, so recognizing the various stages of team formation is important. So, and these can happen not just when you're building a brand new team, but when you're adding somebody to a team. And those steps are forming, norming, or forming, storming, norming, and performing. Right. So when I come into a brand new team, even if it's a team that's been successful for a long time and has been working well, we still start at that forming stage, and the storming phase still happens. So my main goal is to shorten those first three phases, uh, the forming, the storming, and the norming, as much as possible to get to that performing stage as soon as we can. Um, Part of that is, you know, I find it, when you look at uh, Patrick Lencioni's five dysfunctions of a team, the bottom of that pyramid is trust. And for me, I've always been somebody that's pretty easy to trust people up until you've proven to me that you're not trustworthy, right? So that's not usually a big problem for me. I want to see that other people on the team trust each other. The next step up from trust is the fear of conflict, and I want to make sure, like you were saying, I or like I was saying earlier, I don't want to everybody to just trust what I say as the gospel truth, right? Because I want to get rid of that fear of conflict within the group. I want to make sure that people are pushing back where they need to, and that means pushing back against me, right? Because when people feel comfortable enough, when they have that trust and then they feel comfortable enough to push back on each other, then you can kind of tease out the best solutions to whatever the problem is.
So, coming in, there's a lot of teams, and I've had this in my experience as well. Like, there may be that one or two people that are leaders in the team, and they're automatically in a position of distrust when they start. Like, oh, who's this new guy coming in? They're thinking you're like Bob and Bob. You're going to interview him. What would you say you do here? And
Right.
and that it's putting their position in jeopardy. How do you get past some of those kind of initial anxieties of coming into a team?
So I've seldom had that with full-time employees. I have seen that sometimes with other consultants on that same team because I'm they may feel actively threatened, by somebody from not their consulting agency coming in and being added to the team. It's still not something that I see frequently, but I have seen it before. Um, but really, a lot of that is, I think, just open and honest communication. Make it clear. Look, I'm here to do this job that I've been contracted to do, and I'm going to do that to the best of my ability, and that means helping you achieve your goals. You know, if there's actually a problem, like if there's actually tension there, I I'm one to just attack it head on. You know, hey, I noticed we've got some tension here. Let's talk about that. Um, and the way to approach that is with, I'm a big proponent of the crucial conversations uh, process of communication. Um,
So
and
tell us a little bit more about that. What is this crucial confrontations thing?
So, Crucial Conversations is a book written by a number of people. I think it's Crucial Conversations: Tools for Talking When the Stakes Are High. And it provides this process, really, um, and maybe some guardrails for how to have difficult conversations. Um, and some of the key aspects there are uh, things like having too much lag time between when a conversation needs to happen and when that conversation actually happens. The more lag time you have, the more difficult it is to have that conversation later. Um, and because now you might be blindsiding somebody that didn't think there was a problem, right? Um, there's I think one of the most important topics there is the topic of safety within a conversation. um, it talks about how If somebody that is a stranger to you comes and gives you a piece of feedback, you're going to be very defensive of that. But if your best friend or your spouse or somebody or a parent or some other trusted person gives you that exact same feedback, you accept it. Why is that? Well, it's because you trust you trust why this trusted person is giving you that feedback, and you don't trust a stranger or somebody new to the team or something like that. And so
and sometimes that happens in the opposite, like with kids. A lot of times, as a parent, you'll be telling them, no, you don't want to do it that way. You don't want to do it that way. But then when like a coach or someone else tells them the same thing,
Yep.
then they're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Right. And that comes down to safety, right? You have to overtly communicate that you have the same overall goal, and you have the same you want the same things, and because of that, you're both headed toward the same direction, and so you can it kind of builds that trust, and now with when I know that you want what's best for me, it's easier for me to accept that feedback, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add in, I just realized something that you were calling it crucial conversations, and I used the term um, crucial wait, you said crucial conversations, and I said crucial confrontations. And
those are different things.
Well, actually, but they're the same principles.
Yeah.
So it's just so you may find it under either one, but it's the same principles of why would a rational, reasonable, intelligent person do this thing, and as kind of like a starting point of trying to understand where they're coming from and starting to put yourself in their shoes. I think Steve Martin said it best when he said, walk a mile in a man's shoes before you criticize him, because that way you're a mile away and he's got no shoes.
Nice. That's a good Steve Martin quote. I like it.
No, you hit on another key topic from Crucial Conversations, and that is most people in the world are reasonable, rational, decent human beings. And yes, there are people that are actual just true jerks out there, but they are few and far between. And so just setting the starting point as I'm talking to a reasonable, rational, and decent human being helps to keep yourself focused on what you want and what's best for everyone, right? And it's so easy to label people, and once you label them, you get to dehumanize them. If I stop saying Aaron's really causing problems on our team, and I say that idiot is super annoying and he's causing problems with the team, by replacing Aaron with that idiot, I've now dehumanized you, and it's easier for my brain to attack you.
I have been replaced by that idiot sometime. That may have happened to me once or twice. But yeah, and that's the thing too, is it's important to keep in mind, even when you're looking at somebody else's code or legacy systems, anything like that, it's the way we communicate as technicians is usually a lot through like what we've produced as work, and you don't want to inject those biases into your thinking But you want to ask yourself, okay, why would somebody write this code this way, or deliver this in this kind of packaging, or set up a stream this way? Because usually there's really good reasons why they've made certain technical decisions, besides, oh, I just wanted to do that. I did come across one system once where it was very obvious that this person was trying to pad their resume, because every other thing was a different technology. So there was like no cohesive technology, and it was like, oh, we're going to try this technology. I'm going to use this here, and then when I get over into this section of the code, I'm going to use this technology here. And it's like, I see why they did that.
That's called resume-driven development.
Yes,
That's what we call that
yes, it
in the
definitely
business.
was.
RDD.
I've gone into a lot of different clients that the first week that I'm there, I'm sitting there saying, why in the world did they do it this way? This seems like the stupidest way to do it. But after you've been there a month or 6 months, now you're like, okay, I get it.
Yep.
And part of that is also, and I think that this is hard for a lot of people, but just because the code isn't written the way I would have written it doesn't mean it's wrong. And does it get the job done? Is it efficient? Is it as efficient as it needs to be? It's not necessarily, is it the most efficient, because we all know you're not supposed to optimize code until you have problems with it, right? Or
Right.
you know that there's going to be problems with it.
The whole Yagni principle, right? Of you ain't gonna need it.
Yep. And so, I think just overcoming that mindset of the way that I'm doing it is right, and the way and that means anybody else is doing it wrong, is important. I think we see that a lot, is well, if you didn't do it the same way I did it, then it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or even the thing of coming into a new team and going, all right, fire up the bulldozers. Let's push all this code out, and then we'll do it right. And in that hubris of going, well, yeah, we're gonna. I came in to fix this thing and rescue it and do it right. It can be very harmful, especially when you're in those early stages of that forming and storming. That's going to be a really big storm. You come in with that kind of attitude.
That is definitely storming for
yes.
sure.
Well, and it's not going to be effective to make changes until everyone trusts that you understand their current process and how you got to that process. Just because it's not the right way to do it today doesn't mean it wasn't the right way to do it 6 months ago, 6 years ago, 15 years ago, when these systems were written.
Well, and there's another quote, and I don't have a reference for this one, but those who fail to study history are doomed to repeat it. So you need to know how people got to the decisions that they made, or you're going to end up making the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm. So it was an interesting thing you brought up, and this is one of the things that we run into in consulting. You mentioned like trying to teach your kids something, coach your kids something, and they're like, oh, Dad, what do you know, right? But that concept happens at our clients as well. So a lot of folks at our clients they're very brilliant, smart folks, and they're like, hey, we need to be doing X. We should be doing X here, and that I think that's really important. It's going to make us better for this reason, and they might be saying this for years, and then when a consultant such as ourselves might come in, we look around and we say, you know what, I think if we introduce X, we'll be better off, right? We make the same recommendation, and the client, they're like, oh my goodness, that's a great idea. Like they act like they never heard it before. So there's that resentment from the full-time employees who are there. What in the world? I've been saying that for 3 years around here, and you finally. So that's a hard thing to deal with, because it's not your fault, right? You can't help that they weren't listened to, but it does happen. And I always struggled to find a way to phrase it. And what I came across, it was like a couple of years ago, when I was like Googling around or something, but it's no man is a prophet in his own land. it comes from the Bible. But basically, anybody, like if Aaron and I go to lunch with each other, and he's not going to believe me to be some kind of like have a great epiphany or whatever. He's just like, that's just that Jim guy that I go to lunch with. But if then you come in as an authority from the outside, like, oh, whatever he says has to be true because they're coming in from the outside. So that's an interesting. How do you deal with that? How do you reconcile those?
Actually, you bring up I don't know if this is a direct answer to your question there, but
or if there was a question there,
right?
I put a question at the end.
But you do bring up an interesting point, and that is that as consultants, we are outside of some of the politics of the business. And in addition to that, we have our own back channels. If there are multiple people at a client, we have additional resources that, if Aaron and I are both at the same client and he's like, I'm having some major trouble with this, he's got somebody else that's in the same environment that understands things. But also, I mentioned that I'm doing a 5 dysfunctions assessment for one of the teams at my client right now. That came about because one of the people on that team is one of our consultants. It doesn't mean that it's a poor performing team, but there are challenges on that team that kind of kicked off this. We want to do this assessment and see how we can grow this team a little bit. If we weren't at the same, if he and I weren't at the same agency, then I doubt that would have happened.
And also, with coming into a new client, there are many times that you will have the ear of people that the team doesn't, just because of the nature of us being hired into that client. So we may have like a VP's ear that the FTEs won't, because of their chain of command, and that's just because of how the agreements work out in coming in. You may have a little bit higher insert of an information chain than the team members do. And one of the things that I've always liked doing when I get into a team that I'm consulting on that has FTEs that have been working in that area for some time and we're trying to improve, and it's like, ask them the question, what do you guys want to see happen here? Pull their ideas, because a lot of times they know exactly where they want it to go and what they want to see happen, but they just feel like they're not empowered to be able to do those things. And as consultants, we can sometimes push that forward and go, you know what, that's a really good idea, and I agree. This should be the thing. Let me champion that for you and see if I can't get us the clearing to do that. And then that way you're pushing forward as a team, and it gets you to that norming and performing a lot faster, and gaining that trust, because it's like, oh right, he's on our side, right? And then it's not you coming in and going, oh yeah, we need to do this. It's more of, hey, you guys have a really good idea there. Let me help push that idea forward.
And it doesn't hurt if once you get buy-in at that, that level of influence that you might have, that elevated level of influence, once you get buy-in on that, whatever the idea is, you're going to say something like, well, I really can't take credit for the idea. Jim Bob actually, raised this issue or whatever, made me aware of this suggestion or whatever. That helps a lot to smooth over some of that that animosity that we might feel in those situations.
And we also, like, the company's bringing in consultants for a reason, right? It might be some political reason. They want to be able to get rid of a bunch of people without announcing layoffs, right?
The Bob and Bob scenario, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Or it might be they recognize there's a gap in the knowledge of their FTEs, or even that they need an outsider's perspective, which is, other reasons why frequently consultants have the ear of people that FTEs don't.
And sometimes it's a directed problem too. It's like, hey, we need outside help for this specific problem because we have been trying to get it to work and we can't, or the people that know how to do this are like swamped with other things. So we need you to come in and kind of own this problem and fix it for us. So I mean, those are definitely things we've done before too. It's like we need a push here, and we got no one else to go to.
Right. But to be very clear, um, I every team that I've ever worked on, I've been a consultant for 14 years. Every team that I have worked on has had extremely talented developers. The FTEs that we're working with are very talented developers in most cases. They know their jobs really well, and we're not there to replace them. We're there to enhance the team. And it's not because and I think you can get into that mindset of, oh, they brought in consultants, we must not be good enough. And in no way has that ever been the case for any client I've ever been at. It's always been, we want an outside perspective, or we we just need somebody to fill this seat because somebody left, or uh, or we need some new ideas, or we need some additional leadership, something like that.
And I never want to walk into a room and be the smartest man in the room, right? Or woman or whatever, the smartest person in the room. And luckily for me, that's almost never the case. I know where you're going with that, James.
Oh yeah, that was teed up on that one, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to cut that one off at the pass because I knew that one was coming.
You knew that was coming.
I could see that rock flying in from a mile away.
Hey, and I would expect the same from you.
Right.
If I
Yes,
was,
you're right. Yeah, you open yourself up by saying that, but that's one of the things that, I'll even go into a room and say, look, I'm not looking to be the smartest guy in the room here, and it's a good thing because I'm probably not. And and that's another thing that if you open yourself up to not having all the answers and going in and going, look, I'm just looking at the problem, seeing what I can see as an observer, and the ideas are going to have to come from like this room, right? And it's just not. I'm not like the magic man. I'm not going to wave a magic wand and make all your problems go away. It's going to be work. It's going to be, and it goes back to that communication. If you're openly communicating what the intent is and what you're trying to do, and legitimately asking for the help of other people, generally that's going to be well received, and they're going to be willing to help in and go, okay, yeah, I get what you're trying to do, and yeah, we'll help you out. Let's go. And that can be at any level. It can be team members, that could be leads, it can be even the VP. I'm like, yes, come in. This is going to be what I'm going to do. Sometimes you got to be a little bit more careful and filter that a little bit as you're talking further up, because they have different perceptions of what they're paying for. But for the most part, you can be fairly open and honest about what it is you're doing and what process you're taking. Um, I did want to circle back a little bit. You mentioned 5 dysfunctions. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what these 5 dysfunctions are?
So it's based on a book by Patrick Lencioni. Let me see. It was published in 2002, looks like. At least the copy of the book I have was published in 2002. And he posits uh, a structure where there are 5 areas of team dysfunction. And they're in the form of a pyramid. They build on each other. Um, and the name of the book is The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Um, and the first layer at the bottom that everything else is built on is trust, and the dysfunction is absence of trust. So if you don't have trust, then you have invulnerability. People are not willing to be vulnerable because uh, because they don't trust people on the team, right? And that means that they're not willing to share their ideas. They're not willing to engage in conversation. Um, they might think that whatever they say can be used against them later, things like that. So you have to have that basic layer of trust before you can build anything else with the team. Next up on the pyramid is the fear of conflict. So if I don't trust you, then we're not gonna be comfortable having conflict. But conflict is required to get the best ideas. I need to be able to push back on an idea that somebody else had and not just be like, well, I don't want to make any waves. I'm just going to let him do it his way, right? Um, I don't want to deal with the fallout of of bringing up an edge case that I thought of. So I'm just going to let her do that the way she wants to. Um, so with this fear of conflict, then you end up with artificial harmony. Think people feel good about it, but you don't actually have harmony. You don't actually have agreement on the team because people didn't get people don't feel like their voices are heard, right? Because you did it the stupid way. I never agreed to do it the stupid way. So I was never on board with that anyway, right?
And there is a difference between healthy conflict and unhealthy conflict, isn't there?
Yes, there is. And with the trust, you should be able to have some healthy conflict, right? I've told people on my team, look, if you don't agree with something that I'm suggesting as a solution, I want you to fight back. And I want you to keep pushing until you're convinced that whatever solution we've come up with at that point is the best solution. Keep pushing at me. Don't be like, oh, he's been doing this for 25 years. He knows what he's talking about. I don't care if you're a junior, a mid-level, a senior, a principal. I don't care what your experience level is. If you see a flaw in my solution, let's hammer it out.
But you don't want like the Real Housewives of IT kind of drama conflict, right?
No.
Like a hair pulling and face slapping and
Well, but we also no, we don't want that. But also it brings all of that conflict into one area where it's safe to discuss that. And so it also keeps people from after that meeting's over, me going to James and saying, boy, Aaron had such a stupid idea. Can you believe that?
Right.
And now James and I are talking about you behind your back more than usual, right?
I was going to say, I'm like,
nice.
And that breaks away at the trust, and that breaks away with at other. It chips away at the team, right?
Well, and the individual as well, because if
yes.
if that individual ever becomes aware of that talking behind their back, their confidence gets shook. Because I thought, I had the trust of the team that we had an open line of communication. Now I'm hearing the stuff behind. I'm like, now I'm not so sure. So now I may be a little bit more guarded with my own communication because of that, because I don't know what people are saying. Maybe I thought I was presenting good ideas, but if the team doesn't feel that way, maybe I'm going to close off.
Right. So once you have that, once you can have healthy conflict within the team, people feel comfortable sharing their ideas. The next step up on the pyramid is lack of commitment. So if I don't feel like my ideas are heard, and I don't really agree with whatever solution James has brought forth, then I'm going to have a hard time committing to do that. Oh, that was his stupid idea. I never wanted to do it anyway, right? And so that can lead to ambiguity. That can lead to just lack of buy-in to whatever solution came on. And I think we've all been on teams like this before, where somebody has said, well, that was never a good idea to begin with. Of course it failed, right?
I've actually been forced to implement something like that. It is very um, you get very grumpy when you're at the keyboard because you're like, oh my god, this is so stupid, and you're just like, and you're banging away, going, this is. There is something wrong with this, and I just don't agree with it. And like, oh, this was half baked, and oh, this and that,
Right.
and then when it does fall over, you're like, dang it, I knew it.
Right. Right. But when you have that healthy, the healthy kind of conflict, and you have trust within the team, then even if everybody doesn't 100% agree with the solution that you're moving forward with, you can have buy-in from everyone. I may not think that it's the 100% best solution, but I at least feel that my voice was heard. And if it does go south, maybe they'll listen to me next time. I don't know. But that allows buy-in. It allows people to commit to to the decisions that were made.
Yeah, healthy teams can. The way I've seen it phrased is like healthy teams can get to a point of disagreement. They don't agree, but they're aligned.
Yes.
They can be aligned to move forward, and that's okay. But you shouldn't be trying to undermine the thing either, right?
Exactly.
The healthy team is actually okay. I'm aligned with you. This is the direction we're going. This is the lack of commitment phases where you see like people just kind of check out too, right? They're not present in meetings. They're just, I'm not being heard anyway. We never talk about the important things. Whatever. I'm just here. So
I'm just slinging code. That's all I do.
I'm gonna
the Eeyore.
Yep.
Right. I'm just here to write code.
Well, and you see that on teams where people are just there to punch the clock.
Yep.
I was here my 40 hours this week. I don't actually care that the front end and the back end don't work well together. I don't care that I changed the contract between the front end and the back end and didn't tell anybody. I did my job. And so once you have once you're or building on that commitment that the team now has, next is avoidance of accountability is the fourth dysfunction. So avoidance of accountability leads to low standards. If we don't have buy-in from everybody, then again, it's easy for me to say, well, I didn't think that was a good idea anyway. It's not my fault. And on a high performing team, everyone buys into the decisions. Everybody is in alignment, as James was saying. We're all in alignment. We don't necessarily 100% agree, but we're aligned. Nobody's going to undermine the overall decision that was made. And then you succeed or you fail together as a team, right? So again, that can lead to low standards. That can be, and just really lack of commitment within the team leads to that lack of accountability or avoidance of accountability. And then finally, we move to the top. The top of the pyramid is inattention to results, and that is people saying, "Well, I don't care how the team performs. I want to build my resume." I don't care how the team succeeds. I'm more interested in me personally succeeding. So status and ego are kind of the problems with that. And when you have, when everybody is aligned, everybody is accountable to the team, everyone feels like they can speak their piece. Everybody feels like there's a common amount of trust within the team. Then the whole team succeeds together. It's not about whether James gets a promotion. It's about whether the team is well known for producing high quality results. And what's going to happen there is everybody on the team is going to get promoted. Everybody on the team is going to be well known. Everybody on the team is going to be is going to get their compensation increased or whatever. And everyone's going to get that recognition.
Unfortunately, what usually happens is they say, wow, this team is awesome. let's split up that team.
I know.
And seed other teams, and it doesn't really work like that necessarily.
Yeah, we've seen that a lot. Where it's like
there's a cohesion that's there.
Like, this team is perfect. Let's take some of that talent and spread it around. And they're like, no, you're resetting everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, because it's not about the individual contributions of each person. It's about how well they're working together.
Right. And some of those people can feel like they're being punished for being good in that scenario, because they finally reached a comfort level where it's like, I love working in this team because I have that trust. I have, we have that cohesion. We have the healthy conflict. We can get our ideas across out and move forward in a very quick pace to where we're performing very, very well. And then somebody comes in and goes, yeah, okay, let's blow it up. And it's just like, great, we just got blown out of the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always that great. On that last topic too, I have seen also that when you have that feeling that it wasn't a good idea from the beginning, and you didn't get your buy-in, you didn't have that trust, you didn't have you've got the internal conflict. I've actually seen people going, I'm not putting my name on that. So the opposite of resume building, they're avoiding, putting their name on stuff because they don't believe in it, and which is kind of the flip side of that coin, where it's just that's not where you want to be. If you're not proud to put your name on something, then you're doing something wrong. We always talked about when you're writing code or you have a design, that you want to be proud of it, like if you gave it to your mother, she'd put it up on the fridge, right? type of scenario, the gold star scenario, where it's like, oh, you got a gold star, let's put this up on the fridge, type of thing. And that's where your level of comfort on your solutions, your code, that kind of stuff, it's like that should be the standard you're holding yourself to. And then try and get your team to do that as well. And if you're all trying to work together and come together and work in that general direction to where everybody's producing quality, without being, and like you said, have all of those different pieces, you're going to come together. You're going to feel like a unit. You're going to be moving from that norming to performing naturally. And a lot of and things, you look forward to coming into work when that happens.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. When all of these, like when you don't have much dysfunction on the team, right? There's always room for improvement. But when you're on a high performing team and you're on a team that people get along, and that people feel heard and people buy into decisions and all of that, people enjoy the work that they're doing. It doesn't mean the work is easier. Frequently, it's actually harder work, right? Because you're doing it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And the right way it's not usually the easy way. But even though you may be working harder, you're more satisfied with the work that you're doing.
Great.
And you talked about putting that gold star up on the fridge, and one of the things that I really like about consulting, and not everybody agrees with me on this, but one of the things I like about consulting is that I am the product that is being sold. If I want to improve the product, I can do that. I can go learn something. I can read a book. I can learn a new technology. I can get better at coding. And I don't have to worry about whether some factory worker is putting a screw in the right way. I don't have to worry about who else is doing whatever. I am the quality. Like, I personally set the quality of the work that I'm doing.
Some of us were born with loose screws, though.
Well,
Aaron, and some of those screws just can't be tightened. You know what I mean?
Well, I do understand that.
I don't know what you mean. Can you explain that further?
I'm saying I got a few screws loose. Is what I'm saying. I think that's my problem.
I know. I just wanted you to say it out loud.
Uh-huh.
All right. So this has been a great conversation. If you want to learn more, you can reach out to us on our email, /@callibrity.com. And at this point, I'd like to go to our Ship It or Skip It segment.
Ship or skip, everybody, we gotta tell us if you ship or skip.
So the way Ship It or Skip It works, we're going to throw out a different topic out there, and we're all going to individually take a vote on whether we think we should ship it, skip it, or somewhere in between. Like usually there's like asterisks, underlined subscripts, gray areas, whatever. But you just bring these up, and we'll just kind of throw out our ideas. So, James, what's the first thing on our ship it or skip it list?
Yeah, I was trying to come up with some interesting stuff that kind of related to Aaron's area of passion, which is around like leadership and team building and that sort of stuff. How about doing icebreaker activities in meetings? What about you, AA Ron?
So, well, first of all, that reminds me, Aaron, can you give us 2 truths and a lie? No.
Can you draw a picture of a cat that is showing the emotion you're feeling right now?
Yeah. You know how much polar bear weighs? Enough to break the ice.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'm. Sometimes it's good, but generally, yeah, I'm like ship it. I just we'll get to know each other without it. Yeah.
Now, I should clarify. I'm okay with introductions. If you're if you've got new people or something like that, but these stupid little games that are icebreakers, I don't care. unless there's a purpose, like I've just started reading Overcoming the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and one of the things that they recommend for improving trust is a little a trust exercise that's like this little 3-question thing, and I have to remember what that is. Like one of them is, and they're questions about how many siblings did you grow up with, and there was something else about growing up, and the third thing was what's something something that defined you as a kid, or something like that, something that made an impact in your life when you were a kid. And that's something that helps to build trust on the team, because it invokes some amount of vulnerability and helps people to understand things. But that's not an icebreaker. I'm not opposed to vulnerability and trust building exercises in general. Just icebreakers are bad.
For me, again, I've been a software architect all my career basically, and all my answers are it depends, right? So I can't get away from that. But I think it depends on the type of meeting. So when you're having like a get together of people that don't work together on a daily basis very much, like a summity type of a meeting, right, where you're getting people together on an infrequent basis, maybe kicking off the day to kind of settle into like, hey, we're going to be here together for the next few hours or whatever. Those, okay, that can be fun. But yeah, like daily stand-ups or anything like that, I don't know. I don't remember what there was one book I read that recommended, like, in the beginning of meetings, if you are going to have like a staff meeting or something, that if anybody has like, like something going on that where you don't feel like you can be fully present, or there's something that would impact how well you're showing up that day, maybe just to let folks know about that. Like, oh, hey, my dog was sick last night and kept me up all night, or I've got a sick kid at home, or whatever it is that makes you not as present as you normally should or could be in that meeting. Maybe bring that up. I thought that might be interesting to try sometime, but I've never tried it. But
I've done that before, and matter of fact, I think I just did this last week when I caught this flu that's been going around, and I'm like, hey, sorry, I may be a little bit touch and go today because I've got this flu thing that's going around. And it helps with the other people understand kind of like what you're going through on that day and not just going, oh, I haven't gotten an answer back from him in an hour. He's obviously sloughing off. It's like, well, no, maybe he's just like out of it because he took the wrong quill, right? He took the NyQuil instead of the
Yeah, he
DayQuil.
took the NyQuil today. Yeah, the wrong quill. I'm on the quill today. Yeah. All right. So the next ship it or skip it. How about, from Crucial Conversations and Radical Candor, kind of we hear that mantra of like praise in public, criticize in private. What do you think about that one?
I think that's a ship it because I think the criticizing in public is like public shaming a bit, and I don't think there's really any benefit to doing that except maybe making yourself look good. So I don't feel like that is a good practice to have where you're, if and I've had people criticize me both in public and in private, and it's much better received on the private side because it's kind of like, okay, yeah, that's something I can work on, versus feeling like a complete idiot and having all of your authority stripped away, especially if you're somewhere in the middle, like as a lead or a consultant or something like that. Um, in the praise then also gives you an opportunity to pass that down to the team that supported you with that. So a lot of times what I'll do is like if somebody praises me individually for something, I will say, well, I didn't get here on my own. The team actually did a lot of that work. I am just the presenter. So I want to, give them, and you can pass that around, share the love, pay it forward. And I like having a nice public area to do that because the more people that hear that other people are doing good work, it makes everybody feel better. I don't think it's a win-win in that situation. So for me, that sentiment of you know praising in public, criticizing in private is absolutely a ship it for me.
So I I agree. Like the reason I had to think about this a bit, I agree with the praise in public, criticize in private, as a general rule. I also think, depending on the situation, communicate at the level that was communicated. If someone
Mm-hmm.
criticizes you in public, you should be able to respond in public to that criticism. If someone criticizes you in private, you should respond to that criticism in private, as a general rule. Um, if somebody's if somebody's accusing your company of hey, I bought this thing and I didn't ship it, and I haven't received it yet, 3 weeks later, if they put that on a Facebook comment, you should be able to reply to the Facebook comment, "We shipped it on this date," and it shows that it was signed for at your door. You know, but if you have that same thing and you send a private email about that, then they shouldn't blast that on Facebook.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a ship it on in general. Again, this is my architect answer. praise, praise in public, criticize in private. So there's a couple of different thoughts here. So like if you read like the no rules, it may depend on the culture. So like the Reed Hastings book, the Netflix book, right? Their culture is very open, right? Very, very open. And they if you're on stage giving a presentation, let's say at Netflix, and like Kim Scott from Radical Candor, and then her name, if she's saying in her presentations, their culture is very much like during your presentation, someone from the crowd could yell out, "Stop saying so much." Right? Like that's their culture. Now, I don't know if I necessarily would it would work well for me in a culture like that. But I do think there's also what you were talking about when it comes to apologies, Aaron, Tyler. So if somebody if I were to do something, the offense happened in public, well, by golly, that apology better be in public as well. If I was to say something to Aaron and I was wrong, I did that publicly, I need to own up to that, and I need to apologize to Aaron in public as well. But yeah, I think that's where things get a little different there. But yeah, I'm with it in general.
Most things said about me are correct. So
right. But how I would say might be something I need to apologize for.
Yeah.
But what I said, it's probably right. I'm just kidding. All right. Let's see.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah. How about compensation tied to team performance?
I'm going to take your answer. It depends.
Okay. Say more words.
Yeah. I think that I should not be held back because my team members are underperforming. However, if I'm not contributing, like, I think compensation shouldn't necessarily be tied to team performance. It should be tied to my performance on the team. So if my team is performing low, but I'm doing everything I can to improve the performance of my team, I shouldn't be held back compensation-wise because Aaron's not doing his part of the bargain, right? If I'm like, hey guys, we're a low performing team right now. Let's do this 5 dysfunctions assessment, see where we can grow. And everybody reluctantly agrees to do that, and we do it, and then we make an agreement on this is what we're going to talk about this in our retro every other week, and we're going to try to improve in this area. And I'm the only one that talks in retro, and I'm the only person that is doing what the team agreed on. I shouldn't be held back because I'm on a team that's not trying. Theoretically, like, ideally I'd be put on a different team at that point. Right? Mm-hmm. Or we'd swap out a couple other people on the team so that the entire team is a higher performing team. But it's kind of like group projects in college, right? Yeah. It's like I can only get a C because half of the team didn't show up to the meetings that I scheduled, and half the team didn't show up, or half the team didn't do the things that we all agreed would be the way we split out the assignment. And I should be compensated based on my achievements,
the
on
dreaded
my own merit
project.
Yes.
Yeah. And for my part, I would say it depends as well on this one. I normally don't do depends. There's a joke there somewhere that I'm not going there. But for a team, I think that if a team has done stellar work, gone above and beyond, rewarding that with some type of compensation is great. It shows that it's a nice way of showing appreciation. But on like an annual review type basis, where I agree with Aaron, I want my compensation to be tied to my individual effort in a team, not the team's effort reflecting on me. Because like you said, there are times that a team is underperforming, and you're trying everything in your power to try and elevate that team and bring the watermark up collectively. But if you're on like a high performing team and you just did something awesome and you want to celebrate that awesomeness, then yeah, compensate the team. So I think it just depends on what you mean by compensation in those scenarios. If it's like an attaboy type of compensation for doing a good job as a team, I think so. Because I don't like being pulled out as an individual in those situations. Like, oh, we're rewarding this one person for this project because they did such a good job with it, when really it was a team effort.
I'm a ship it for empowered teams that have agency to control things as a team, and they're, as you said, they're high performing. So if there are folks not doing their part or whatever, they get through those conflicts, they support one another. I think you can pull it off. I think you can do it. But you have to make sure that those teams feel that they have agency to control their own destiny. If you just put them in an environment and they have no means to improve their situation, that's just asking for people to they're just going to quit. That's not a fair way to do that. But if you give a team, you empower a team, and they have agency and they know they have agency, yeah, I think you can do it.
I think that if I tell you 9 months ago that this team member is not pulling his weight, and our team performance is suffering because of this one or two team members, and 9 months later I don't get a compensation adjustment because my team didn't perform, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah, I think when I say agency, I mean you have the agency to change the composition of the team too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
I think that
yeah.
I can agree with that. If you have agency to
vote them off the island, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I do think you have to be careful with that, though. You want to make sure people have the right mindset when thinking about a team. I don't even remember what book it was I read this in, but they said the way they think about it is when you bring people into your company or on board with a team, it's like you're putting them on your spaceship. And you can't just jettison them out the airlock. I mean, we're on this spaceship on a 3-year journey to a new planet or whatever. They're going to have to contribute. So you have to make sure that you're vetting people coming in well, but also.
So you've never played Among Us.
I mean, you can jettison them out the airlock. I mean, it happens all the time, right? I mean, or. Yes, but you want people to have that mentality of like, I need to really do the most that I can for my teammates to help support them, and not just give in and out the airlock, right? Because you're going to be on the team by yourself eventually if that's your number one thing to do is just see you later. All right,
and that's not a solution, by the way. No man should live on an island. I know some people that would be like, well, that would be great.
Yeah, then all the projects would be half done, like all my side projects.
Right, yeah. Which will bring us to our final segment, the lightning round.
It's time for the lightning round. Rapid fire, don't slow down. Answer quick and make it count. In this game, there's no way out. It's time for the lightning round.
Which Aaron's going to love because he hates icebreaker questions. But we're doing it at the end.
Yes, we're doing it at the end. This is a clearing of ice, I guess, instead of breaking it. I don't know. But what this is we're going to go back and forth, and we're going to rapid fire some questions at you. And they're just short answer. You don't need to pontificate on any single one of these questions. If you survive at the end, there will be no prizes or monetary rewards. So it is all just for bragging rights. So with that, James, would you like to kick us off with the first question?
Yeah, let's do. All right, here's a softball question for you. Name one of the 7 dwarfs.
Sleepy.
Would you rather cuddle a baby panda or a baby penguin?
Penguin.
Is there such thing as an objective beauty?
No.
How often is it healthy to cry?
as often as needed.
This could be an interesting one for you. Do you know how to salsa dance?
No.
How many kids would you like to have?
I have 7.
So that's good.
That's.
Would you like to have more?
We're not having any more. So
7 it is. You're trying to get this man in trouble. What are you doing?
Well, it was where I put the emphasis in the question.
I'm glad we're not buying diapers anymore.
Yeah,
right.
I'm ready to be moving more into the not a parent of toddlers anymore stage. We've been there for 20 years.
Oh, jeez.
My answer would have been something like, if it's less than the number I have now, do I get to choose? And I can say that because my wife and my kids they're never going to listen to this.
Right.
Wait, are you saying you get to choose whether to keep the wife and the kids?
Well, okay. Okay, moving right along. Because Aaron knows my wife. He'll tell her. You know what I mean? He will absolutely tell her. So.
You won't believe what James said.
Okay, if you were really hungry, would you eat a bug?
I don't think so. No.
Do you know the definition of triskaidekaphobia?
Triskaidekaphobia. Nope, I don't.
Oh. We would have accepted the answer, the fear of number 13.
Oh, what size bed do you prefer?
Queen?
I love that band.
Yeah.
If the toilet paper roll is really low, but not completely out, do you replace it or leave it for someone else?
Leave it for someone else. If it's not gone, it's not gone. But I might make sure that there's another roll available.
See, that's my go-to move. I'm the okay. Take the toilet paper roll, set it on the counter next to the almost empty roll.
But recognize, with 9 people in the family, we use a lot of toilet paper.
I can
boy.
imagine.
So we want to
Pandemic,
use
yeah.
the last little bit
Yep.
Yeah.
of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just a toilet paper thing for y'all. It's milk, it's bread.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You gotta. Yeah. I get all of it.
Pretty sure we spend more on on groceries than I do on my mortgage.
Whew. Good night.
Especially with the price of eggs going up.
Yeah. We have chickens.
I was
So
gonna say,
Oh, there you go. Economical.
You're like,
Are you protecting them against the bird flu?
they're not mingling with other birds. So maybe, I don't know.
but do they wear masks?
No.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Are you
I don't know how you
quarantining?
protect a
Yes.
bird. I don't know how that works. Like, what is
I
the
actually
way
saw this on the news. They've got they put special roofing shingles on the coops so that wild bird droppings don't fall into their pens and that kind of thing. Because
No, we're not protecting against bird flu.
Are you protecting Skittles? That's his our
he's
mascot,
an
our
indoor
unofficial
bird, so
mascot.
he doesn't interact with wild birds. So yes, he doesn't go
And you don't
outside.
bring any droppings of outside birds into your home regularly.
I quit doing that. Yeah.
Okay. just making sure. Skittles is safe. That's what we want to know. We love Skittles. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at wiffle ball?
3.
We would also have accepted 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, and 10.
Or 10.
Or 10. What is the capital of New York?
Albany?
Yep.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
That'd be great if we're all wrong.
So, are any final thoughts, Aaron, plugs, things you want to make sure people leave this episode knowing, thinking about, shout outs you want to give?
I think that a lot of these soft topics, team building, crucial conversations, all of that. I think a lot of people, especially engineers, technologists, think of it as just fluffy stuff that doesn't matter. I can write code. Why do I have to worry about all of this? And I think that we need to change that mindset. The research has shown teams that work better together produce better results. And talking about teamwork isn't about trust falls. It's real work, and it's real benefit that can not only sharpen your not only improve the communication, improve the performance of your team, but can also sharpen your technical skills.
All right,
that concludes this episode of the Forward Slash, where we lean into the future of IT. I'd like to thank our guest, Aaron Tyler, for talking with us about effective consulting. I'd also like to thank my beautiful co-host, James, and all of our production staff that make this podcast possible. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and share. If you'd like to reach us at the Forward Slash or have questions, you can email us at theforwardslash@callibrity.com. I'm Aaron Chesney. Thank you, and stay curious.